good evening, friends, and thank you, Team People Matters, for inviting us and giving us an opportunity for this wonderful panel that I have, and I'm truly delighted to have them here, and I'm sure it will be a fun-filled last session of the day and worth it for the whole day that you have spent here, and thank you all for joining in. My name is Pankaj Bansal, and I'm a part of a team called People Strong. What I'll be doing is probably the easiest part. I have to place questions, and my friends on the right and left side will answer them. So they very intentionally have chosen the facilitator with the least content, and they said content divide equally on both sides. And you can decide which way the content is more heavy towards the end of the session. Very quickly tell you, on my right side we have Vijit, the Chief Learning Officer of Wipro, and on his right we have Anu, the city banker, the lady who's leading HR, and we all are proud of, and hopefully she'll keep giving us more moments to proud, and we'll see her in more global roles as the time comes. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here. And we have a very interesting person with us, which is Ashok. And I didn't say anything to Ashok since he's the CIO of Sapient, but I was just worried. We have about 400 HR people with one CIO in the room. And given the kind of love-hate relationship CIOs and HR has, I was a little worried. But then, I thought Rajiv is on the stage, so if anything goes out of the hand, he will manage it. And we have 3 R's on my left, and you must be thinking, how come Anand is R? So I was just thinking it is R Anand, right? He's our Anand, so we will call him R Anand. This is Chief Learning Officer of Reliance, so he will equal out Abhijit, and let's see how this goes on. And thank you once again, Anand, for being here. And on my left, we have Rajesh. You've known him for Capgemini, but now in his new avatar with Vedanta. Thank you for joining in again. Thank you so much. And we have the man himself, Mr. Rajiv Dubey, the National President of HRD Network. And I'm not introducing his Mahindra and everything we knows, but the multiple hats he wears. So thank you, Rajiv, for joining us and agreeing to be a part of the panel. So a very nice, decent question of saying, Zindagi aise bhi chal rahi thi, technology ki zarurat kya hai? Right? Why technology? What is the end game? So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to request all the 6 panelists to respond on this question, and I'll start with the lady on my right. So over to you, Anu.
Thanks, Pankaj. Technology is an ally. It's a friend, which helps us in terms of the way we carry out our day-to-day work, the way we interact with our friends, especially with social media, and the way we perceive and interact within our world, whether I look at mobile apps, whether I look at iPads, whether I look at, all the systems that we use at work. So it's an ally. And ally is not necessarily, a mirror image of what we want and what we do, but an ally is somebody there to aid you and help you and grow in the right directions.
So I think, it's interesting you call it a debate, because I was just watching that this side, of course, needs none of that. If you have a mobile here, and let's look at, just do a show of hands, how many of you use a mobile? Just maybe it's easier to say how many of you do not use a mobile. And there's no hand going up. So the debate, there is no debate.
No,
so
okay.
If you use this technology and beyond, and I see one gentleman who's kept his mobile there, so that's one more on this side, which leaves only 2 people with a little bit of controversy. However, to look at, what is it that we are talking about technology? I think I want to say that, when you say human resources, you have 2 aspects to it. One is the human part of it, one is the resource part of it. Resource part of it is when people are aggregated into one large chunk and not differentiated. Now, reality is that all of us are different in every sense of the term. Even identical twins have differences. So when you think about an organization process, the only way to make the organization human is to actually differentiate and go down right to the root of that one individual. What are the individual's dreams? You and I don't dream of the same things. You and I don't have the same dreams every day ourselves. So this whole notion of individualization and personalization, which is an inevitable force today, you can't get away from it. The only way to do it is through technology. And therefore, technology, simple thing, I customize my phone. We have the same phone, the same apps, I use it in a different way. So the whole world is really about moving in that direction. So if you really think about what does technology allow you to do, it really brings the human into human resources.
To tell you the truth, it is an enabler. All right, we started with the enablement, but we have extended the scope of that to actually get an insight to what's happening. It is further extended to the scope that now we are connected. We are all connected in different shapes and form. there is element of mobility. People are moving around. They're all tech savvy. So the element that who knows what? My kid knows more than me right now on technology, right? It's a learning that is ingrained in us today. So the fact that we are collaborating, we are connected, we have to get insights, we have to evolve. The whole immersive experience requires technology.
I can definitely say that there is a good amount of confluence that happening from. Let's look at some food for thought. You know, we as practicing HR managers, and if I were to take a survey of amount of managers who would possibly look at the bottom of the pyramid, as far as laptops are concerned or tabs are concerned, in terms of organizational policies, we will say let's stack it up. People at the top don't need approval, and people at the bottom of the pyramid need approval. That's the beginning. And we all believe day in and out, at the end of the day, that's the disruption that's happening from bottom. If we believe that that's the stage of disruption that's happening, why don't we adopt it? So a lot of stuff will need to be done on the HR side.
Yeah, I mean, I was just observing the way the discussion was evolving. I think the recognition of the fact that each needs the other is well established. The fact that technology needs HR and HR needs technology. As we go to the next round, we probably will discover who needs who more. But I don't want to get into that now. Who existed without who and functioned well?
Yeah.
We all know the answer. HR existed without technology and functioned very well.
That is a strong view. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And it still does. And it still does. Best of the companies will not say, but it still does.
Anand, yes, HR existed without technology. And I suspect HR is the only function which is continuing to do so. The rest of the people have moved on. and therefore, and it is a sad thing. This is only in an HR seminar where you will find people debating whether this function needs technology. No other function does that. So this is, you're really bringing down the average on this, So, but I just want to say why it has become so important, because the moment you take two factors. One is the moment business starts to get distributed and you're operating beyond the physical. So, as long as you can start seeing people and sort of interacting face to face, it's a small organization, you don't have that many, it doesn't really matter. If your business needs to be global, if you're expecting to survive in that, you do not have a choice. The 5 businesses or 6 businesses, we can sort of debate that. And you think of, the way Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, Pandora, all of them, the way they run their business is the way HR should be run. They know what you want, what you bought, when did you buy it, why did you buy it, if you bought that, what else would you buy? Your friends bought this, they did not like it, so they recommend this. I wish there was a way in which HR did exactly that.
I'll ask someone, I'll not name, there are a few people who are sitting in the audience. They said, every organization or move, or my boss moves, we buy same technologies that we liked or did not like. Same ERPs, I don't want to name, right? So Galip says that, फिर उसी बेवफा पे मरते हैं, फिर वही जिंदगी हमारी है. So this is the story of HR, and people said it in as many words.
Pankaj,
So,
can I add to
yeah,
that?
so
I think that has got nothing to do with technology. That is to do with HR. If you are buying technology and again, you don't know what you're looking for. Technology is a tool, it's a product to make your life easier and make you more effective and efficient. So the decision making is always happening by human beings. If there's a wrong decision being taken, that is not an issue with the technology per se, that is the issue with the decision maker.
Wonderful. City HR quotes that it's an issue with HR. People matters, you've got the caption. No, wonderful. Thank you very much.
As we evolve as an organization, we look at two sides of the equation. One is the HR people itself who are operating, all right? And the other is the people who they need to operate with. And they need an experience as well. So you are leaving the employee base out of the whole equation, who have a completely different mindset now. They want to be able to connect in a very different shape and form and be enabled in a very different shape and form. And if we are not able to connect with them effectively, then I think we are losing the plot completely.
So enablement, collaboration. Someone was giving me an example, cow, car and people all on road. Is it collaboration? HR technology is like that. you take a large ERP, then 70% of the fields are empty, the 30% which are filled are incorrect, and then eventually it becomes a data dump and nothing else.
I think all the three panelists on the other side, they agreed that technology is a friend, technology is an enabler, technology is a foundation. I can't agree anymore. It definitely is all that. If I want to take one step forward, technology is an equalizer. HR is the differentiator. It is how well HR uses the technology that makes that technology successful or not. I've had, in my earlier role or even in my current role, various technology implementations. A particular technology is successful in company A, it is not successful in company B. The technology by itself has done nothing. It is the people, the HR people, who have really leveraged, exploited. So if you go back to any technology company, and I'm not talking about mic technology, let's grow up. It's not mic, it's not cell phone. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm talking about HR technology. And that technology that all of us are referring to is an equalizer. So my submission basically is the fact that a technology is as good as the HR person who is using it. And it is the HR who is making the differentiation.
No, so what's
Let me just
okay. Let him come and we'll come back to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Without the kind of rifle that Abhinav Bindra used, he would not have got that precision whatsoever. You can't play with an air gun and expect to compete in the Olympics.
Okay. So without Abhinav Bindra, would the rifle on its own be able to do anything?
He got it. Yes. Do you really believe that best of the technologies that are used in enterprise context today for people are nothing but databases or at best automation? I think that's what he meant when he was talking about what he was talking. At best automation of processes. They are not really, and that's why I gave examples of the applications which users are using, right? So what do you think, Rajiv, of that?
I'm a great worshipper of technology, so don't get me wrong. But I wonder whether technology without context, without a purpose and without some meaning will serve any end. And I worry that if you pray only at the altar of technology, and first of all, HR is not the HR department. HR is all of us. I think that's the first fundamental discomfort I have in this debate. So HR is not the HR department. Everybody is a human being who are in an organization. So if you pray only at the altar of technology without having a context, without having a purpose, where do we end up?
Let me just take the debate to, say, Gen Y, right? Wherein the technology has evolved and shaped their behaviors. I think today, when we are looking at some of the tools or some of the websites or Facebook or LinkedIn which is being used, they have shaped in the way we are bringing up children, for example. I know this debate is slightly higher, but if you look at young kids today with iPads, tell me who's leading whom? You know, we are shaping our children's behavior. A 2-year-old is playing a video game on iPad. He or she is a user of what's available and not necessarily shaping that technology.
Let me put a counter question. Are you okay to, as HR department, and Rajiv at the risk of HR department, are you okay HR departments to go faceless?
It's not about faceless, but the fact is, if I can cut my non-value added time and spend more time with my business, having value added conversation, that's what technology can achieve for you.
So there are enough people who still talk about exit interviews being conducted physically because they want to study body language, right? And just tell me how many times we have taken actions on that body language. Never. So what is the point to conduct an exit interview like that? So are you really comfortable when you say that I'm okay, and I can ask from you, that I'm okay to have a faceless HR which is completely enabled by technology on the logic she gave, so that they have more time and bandwidth for business issues?
So, I think one of the, to sort of counter out the argument, you talked about business intelligence. Without technology, business intelligence will only be an oxymoron.
So whatever I may ask, he will respond to him and he will respond to him. You see that? Yeah, go ahead.
But then again, if you look at it, the ability to actually decide what do you want to do. For example, employee engagement, without knowing what is it that is on the minds of people. And you can't do it through a questionnaire. You can't do training needs analysis through a questionnaire. It's a very bad idea. When you think of anything which is compact, it's a small number, you don't need technology because you get to spend time to know that person. So in a family, you don't necessarily need technology to know the other person because you know what are their likes and dislikes. But when you take it to an organization, we lead our lives outside of that as well. And the moment you are doing that, you need to figure out a way to know what people are looking at. So, and one of the places where people are putting their data on, let's say on the social media, people are talking about what they feel. Why do you need to do a separate employee survey and ask people exactly what they've just been saying on the social media throughout?
You know, if you really look at it, the search engines, when they really were built in Stanford, nobody thought, or even when Yahoo built, nobody thought how the search engines will ultimately evolve to. So the fact that there has to be an evolution, innovation, when it comes to technology, it's required. The other aspect is the applicability of that. And that means within what you're really trying to do. So today, LinkedIn does that very effectively. You look at all the, when you said faceless, when you look at the matrimonial sites today, faceless, right? But what are you really trying to do? You're getting, again, people and people together. So the fact that you have the ability and you're able to evolve the technology and apply it at the right place at the right time will make a difference.
Excellent example. Wonderful. So let me come this side, and Rajiv, to start with you, one question. Do you somewhere feel, and you have a conglomerate that you're running, somewhere do you believe that most of the softwares that you buy, all your companies have standard tools also, but different tools also, because they have fair amount of independence. So they have become more shelfwares. You just buy and they remain there. Does that bother you as a CHRO role when you play that, when you meet the CHROs of the company? They all have invested in different diverse applications, but most of them are not used. So they are namesake software, but they are shelfware.
So I certainly don't think that they're used as much and as effectively as they could be used for all the various applications. So there's a huge amount of underutilization. That I certainly think.
So is it again because of people not having the strategic thinking of it, or the decision making was bad? Or is it just that we've spent that money and now we will never invest in technology again?
I think a mix of all three. A mix of all three, but essentially people, I think it's an attitude. It's an attitude and it's an intention combined with a strategy. And it's when any of these three are not firing at full speed, then you have a problem of lack of full utilization. So there's potential waiting to be tapped, and it's not being tapped.
The face of HR is not HR as a function alone. I think it's important for the HR function to be translating this back into the faces of the larger organization. I think that's the point that I'm trying to bring. I think technology, while being an enabler, you need a face of the organization. And then you don't need to see HR guys, but how do you transfer this into the line guys as far as the face is concerned? I think that's a mindset change that one can bring.
If you look at companies, I mean, the traditional belief, at least the technology vendor companies would like us to believe that the competitive edge in a particular company versus another company is the technology they use. Well, that's a good marketing effort because everybody sells technology. I mean, if you look at it, you know, one ERP is as good as another ERP when a functionality comes in. It is how well you leverage it. The challenge in organizations or the competitive edge in organizations does not come in what technology they use. It is how they bring the face to the organization or how they bring the H back in HR. What we have gone with the over and undue dependence on technology, we have actually unconsciously taken the H away from HR and therefore brought down the productivity and the impact on organizations.
Wonderful point.
Employee engagement has suffered as a result of overuse of technology. Employee satisfaction or employee delight has suffered as a result of overuse of technology. It is HR which gives the technology the edge. I am most certainly a hardcore believer of technology. I'm a gadget freak. I use every technology that is available, but I know its advantages, I know its limitations.
Wonderful.
We need to be at that level.
So let's also ask for an example. We have Gautam Ghosh here. So Gautam, can you just very quickly give your view on this?
In Persistent Systems Pune, they've created something called a moodometer. So every day when you log in, you are supposed to choose a smiley as to how you're feeling today. And all that data is sent back to the HR department. So you don't need to write or anything. You just choose a smiley, frowny face, confused face, happy face. And if an employee for a period of continuous 3-4 days is unhappy or confused, HR gets a red ticket. And proactively an HR person goes to that employee and says, why are you feeling down?
So many organizations are disappearing out of whatever, means top of the chart or Fortune 500 or Forbes 500, whatever it is, in modern times faster than they used to disappear earlier. A lot of people could say
that's a
socio-economic
fact. We all know.
situation.
Correct. So what's the point?
So the point here is, don't you think that technology is making intuition irrelevant?
No, in fact, my view is very clear. Technology is not making intuition irrelevant, but technology can help get more finely honed and better intuition. Because intuition doesn't act independent of information. You know, there is a lot of unconscious and subconscious churning and analytics going on behind that intuition. And I believe that actually technology can help intuition. But technology without intuition could become sterile.
The use of that data that throws up is HR. HR will have to leverage it. There is no doubt about it. And therefore, technology will need HR to exploit it and bring it the effectiveness space. It is the HR which will do the KKDS. Karke dikhav sala. Unfortunately, of the available departments, the people who are least tech savvy, the people who are the least technocratic are HR. For whatever reason.
Okay.
But that's where we need to train ourselves. That's where we need to leverage. That's where technology needs HR to get to move the value chain.
So that brings us to another point.
Pankaj, can I just
Go
add
ahead,
30 seconds? I think whether HR needs technology or tech needs HR, I think we're going a bit round in circle because I continue to believe it's congruence. And, to the question which was asked earlier in terms of examples, one thing which came to my mind was, it's not about HR department using technology. It's how HR leverages technology to create a much more work-effective culture.
In most of the conferences that I go, especially in Bangalore or if you go to US, you meet people, there are young kids on the block, and I'm not saying kids in a demeaning fashion. They have an algorithm and they are changing that. I'll change the HR world. They claim they have the next code, which is like a WhatsApp of HR. So I don't know how many of you meet, but many of them come to me and pitch. Their biggest challenge is that the first 2 years that they spend, which is go-to-market strategy, is, Rajiv, that can a CHRO buy my application because he or she wants to be safe? They are worried that when they will go, they will not try my untested application. What is your view? Is HR being very safe when they think of these new kids in the block? Because they are going to bring the revolution. So are you ready to experiment? You feel comfortable, and what is your take on this?
Personally, I am very open to experimentation, but does that mean that I would try out seriously every app? No, I would still use some discretion, but just because it is being marketed by a young kid who's wet behind the ears is no reason why I would give less preference to it than something being marketed by a 61-year-old man like me. With technology, access is becoming easier, provided the people who are at the receiving end have an open mind.
Yeah,
so there are enough people, I think, around here who would be very happy to respond to a cold call which comes to them either on email or on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. And I think it's only those people who are open, actually, who are going to make it. Because those who are not open, those who are still being bureaucratic and hierarchical, those organizations and those people are going to die a quick and sure death.
Let's come back to cloud for HR. Why is it that people are hesitant to put employee data on the cloud? It is because of their understanding of what it can do and what it cannot. And I give this analogy of the outsourcing industry. If you remember, 20 years ago, US was not willing to outsource anything that is core to the development work. It's only maintenance, it's only the, the bottom end of the work. But now we have earned their trust, we have earned their confidence enough to co-partner with them, collaborate with them, and have R&D centers co-located here so that we can do that. My basic submission is, if only technologists, and I agree with Anu, we are taking this, one side or the other. I don't think we should do that. Each needs the other. There are a host of technologies that are available, but they will lie dormant without HR
No,
users.
fair point.
We should all realize that 20 years ago, ADP was processing payroll, which is on the cloud.
Yeah. This
All
will
right?
do.
Now, if you think about the fact that your payroll is already on the cloud, we are talking 20 years from then. Now, the fact, should we go to the cloud or not? I think it's a big challenge right there. So I think we need to be a little more open
Very
about the
good
fact.
point. Even CA firms runs the payroll of the best of the companies, and then we all are confused about cloud. So it's a very fair point. So starting from Anu, what do you think one thing, or the kind of, you just paint an image or a vivid or a clear image of the technology that you have in your mind. And then you can think how close your departments are to that technology.
So I'll
Starting
do that.
from Anu.
But I think Anand left a very reflective question in my mind, which I think I would urge the audience also to think about.
Sure.
That HR department is one of the least user of technology. And I can't understand why. We all agree it's an enabler, whether one needs the other more, but why? And this has been a debate not just today, it's been the debate for 2 decades. We lag behind other parts of the business. We lag behind finance, we lag behind operations, of course, we lag behind sales and marketing. Why? And I don't have the answer, I'll just leave that for the audience. So coming back to what's the ideal technology, from my point of view, as I see the world evolving, which may be different when my children grow up, but today I am a big fan of touch technology.
There is tons of data which is available. Yes, we need to worry about privacy, definitely. We need to worry about security, definitely. But think about it. The data about the businesses and payroll and all that stuff is there. If we don't at some point of time take that leap, again, we are going to be left behind. The final point I want to talk about is, I think, when you look at where technology is going, a lot of the jobs which are not value added are going to get automated. Think about how much your phone has automated your life. The way that you don't need an EA really, you can do a lot of that yourself. So it just technology makes that available, and we just have to learn to leverage it, because the bottom end jobs are continuously going to shift
So again,
away.
user at the center, and he's saying n is equal to 1 theory, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you think, very quickly?
So I would say user and the sphere of influence.
Sphere of influence, which is stakeholder management.
Correct.
Wonderful. Excellent point. All three so far have been focusing on user experience, stakeholder management with privacy and security. On my left.
I'll do a little bit of crystal gazing here.
Sure.
HR wearing a future hat,
Yeah.
moving to a future minus rather than a present plus. Would love to see moving from conventional dashboards to predictive. Example, very simple. If I'm able to predict what the attrition can be in the next 2 years or 2 quarters or 3 quarters or 1 year or 2 year, adds tremendous value to the overall business. Similarly, if I'm able to predict delta X for capabilities that I need to build in the next 2-3 years to build the overall business value proposition, it's a different ball game.
Excellent point.
So predictive modeling, analytics and predictive would be my technology lever for future.
Wonderful. So from user experience to predictability and predictive modeling.
I am a big advocate of bringing the H2 technology. If technology has a human face, I tell you its adoption in HR will be far, far greater. A. B. If there is a secondment of one to the other, that is, if a HR person takes on a technology role for a brief period of time, if a technology person takes a HR role for a brief period of time, the adoption and appreciation of each for the other will be far greater, because the premise that I base this on is there are certain things in life that we can never ever learn through second-hand experience. Until you do a deep dive on the other person's role, you will never be able to understand it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My dream technology would be one that would enable me to use the left brain and the right brain together, using the whole mind
Brilliant point.
in coming up with innovative solutions in any situation.
So it's the processing and the creation brain working together in the technology. User experience, predictability, fantastic. Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, R. Anand, and thank you, Rajesh, and thank you, Team A. Wonderful gestures. I'll just say, hum hi hum hai, to kya hum hai, tum hi tum ho, to kya tum ho. I think it is all together. So thank you very much. We have 30 seconds left. So back to the organizers, and thank you very much for a patient listening and being participated. Thank you.